Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Below the Line, the show about how movies are made. My name is Andres Ramirez, and I'm here with my good friend, Mr. Zach Houston Scott. How are you?
Hey, doing pretty good, man. Doing pretty good. Getting that music going, getting it hyped for this week. So, yeah, can't complain.
Yeah, I mean, we're back in track. I'm not longer in Tribeca, so we're back to talking about, the movies we like, the theaters, just in time for the big blockbuster summer upon us. But we forgot to talk about a couple of movies that came out this week and last week. Yeah, besides that, how's everything?
Very good. Yeah, work's been well. This week was a little weird for me, but apart from that, it's been not terrible. It's been pretty fun.
Have you seen anything good besides what we're talking about lately?
Yeah, I watched an old John Waters movie from the 1990s. Matthew Lillard's first role, actually, Serial Mom. So that was a pretty fun movie
Really?
with Kathleen Turner as this housemaker who one day snaps and just goes on a killing spree and just like it's a black dark comedy where she pretty much kills and makes it easy, but the result will shock you with how things end. It's pretty fun, honestly. I highly recommend it if you can find a copy.
Fair enough. Have you been enjoying the Nintendo Switch too? Have you been playing it more?
A little bit, yeah. It's been just with work and everything. It's not been my biggest priority, but it's been fun. Definitely loving Mario Kart, and just the way it feels and the way it moves is also great. So I think that's something hopefully people, once a price drop happens, can get their hands on or wait for the holiday season because it is worth it.
I don't think a price drop is coming anytime soon with the current state of the world, with prices going up. I think right now is the best time to buy it because I believe it's going to be the cheapest it will be this year, if you know what I mean.
No, you probably are right. I'm just trying to be hopefully optimistic with how everything will go, but just
Well, to be fair, I started playing it. I really like the console. It feels solid, but this feels like the Switch Pro, if you know what I mean. Like that mysterious Switch Pro. Like it feels like a 2, but also feels like a Switch Pro because
well,
the UI is the same. And like I think the launch was pretty weak. Like the only thing you can play is Mario Kart.
yeah,
So I hope more people will play it once Donkey Kong comes out.
yeah, that Donkey Kong game looks awesome. Like that direct that dropped earlier this week really makes me want to get it. I was
Oof.
kind of on the fence, but seeing more of it, I'm like, oh, I gotta get this now. This is like almost a day one
I
buy
mean,
for
you kind of have to buy it because that's like almost a release game for the Switch. I mean, aside of Mario Kart, what else can you play that it's new? I mean, I know that Cyberpunk runs really well, but that's a 5-year-old game at this point.
Yeah, but the fact they went all out and even added some additions to make this like a truly definitive edition of Cyberpunk. I mean, kudos to CD
CD
Projekt,
Projekt Red.
yeah, for being like the only studio to like, no, we see potential. We want to make this like the full experience. And hey, they put the whole game on a game cartridge. You can't say that for the other third parties who basically just say
That's true.
download it. So I tip my hat to them, and really it kind of completes Cyberpunk's redemption arc. Because I mean, when that game
True.
first dropped, it was considered one of the worst
Super
in its
buggy.
time. And no, they turned it around and really made and committed to making it the best experience possible.
I think what would make this thing sell more than it has already been selling is if Call of Duty comes out in November
Mm.
or October for the Switch. If COD comes out on Switch, it'll sell like pancakes. But talking about me, I actually started watching The Studio on Apple TV Plus. Really fun show,
Yeah.
written by your former boss, Seth Rogen. Uh, really good show, and Martin Scorsese's cameo. It's so good. I actually think the movie he pitched in the show is his way of pitching this movie for real. but I'm not sure. It's really funny. If you have Apple TV Plus, I strongly recommend it.
Yeah, no, just a little bit of insider knowledge. It definitely was a show he was excited about talking when Sausage Party was in production. Like he was really eager about it, and I think he was in the middle of filming it when we were almost wrapped production. And no, I'm just excited just with the people he was working with, and just couldn't contain his excitement really. It was just that kind of show that he wanted to really get out and experience, get people's experience. And yeah, no, so definitely he was very excited and it paid off.
I recommend it. Scorsese's cameo is so funny. Ron Howard's cameo is so funny.
Zack
Um,
Snyder's cameo is pretty funny too.
I haven't seen that episode. I'm in
Okay, I won't
episode
spoil
three.
it then. I won't spoil it then, but it's worthwhile.
I am in the Greta Lee episode with Sarah Polley,
Ah, okay.
where it's a oneer, like but I actually
Yeah.
found that episode very funny because there's a line where his assistant or his friend who is another studio executive is like, a oneer is just a way for a director to jerk off and show how good he is, but the whole episode is shot in a fake oneer, so it's like they're doing the same thing. So I found it pretty meta, but I don't think people realize that. Like I was watching it with a friend, and he was like, "What do you mean this is all I wonder?" I'm like, "They haven't made a cut, like a cut in the sense of a cut. Obviously, they had like whip pans where they splice it to takes, but it's actually pretty meta. So I really like it.
Yeah. Oh, good. I'm glad you like it. It's really, really good. I'm enjoying it. I mean, I've seen it already, but I've enjoyed it.
If you have Apple TV Plus, you should watch The Stick with Owen Wilson, the golfing show by
I've
the
heard of
creators
that
of Ted
one.
Lasso.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was
It
like,
starts good. Starts good. The pilot is good. It has a very interesting premise. Let's see where they take it. But it's good. And it stars one of the most popular Mexican actresses.
oh really?
Like comedy wise, yeah. Yeah. It's good. I recommend it.
Nice. But yeah, let's get right
So
into chatting about the last couple movies we've had. We talked. What did we talk about last week? I don't even recall. Oh yeah, viewing experiences. And I mentioned that I was going to go and see the new How to Train Your Dragon in VIP cinemas. So here's my very late response take to that. Have you been able to see the movie?
yes, I actually watched it in regular 3D screen, if that makes sense.
No, it does. It does. Yeah, I guess. Do you want me to go first, or do you want to talk about it first?
You go first, sir.
Okay, so I admittedly made a mistake in watching the original movie before I jumped right back into this one because while I do like it, it is very much the same movie that came before, just told in a new way, like in live action. And maybe it was directed differently, even though it was the same guy, well, sort of half the team that worked on the original. Um,
Mm.
the way the actors say their lines is very similar, but it's not. However, I will say the biggest difference, though, is the weight of everything. Like the score weighs a little bit more, the characters weigh a little more, like the dragons themselves have weight to them. And I think that was the point being in live action because with the original movie, you had speed. You had like that advantage of these characters could move quick and fast in a scene because that's just how that world operated. But you can't do that in a
Mhm.
live action field. And so these dragons, Toothless especially, like when you feel him jump, you feel the weight of his jump. You feel like he's restricted in the environment that he's being a part of. And I mean that in a good way because it's a different way of showing off and telling the story. So, yeah, that's just kind of my initial thoughts. What about you? Like your thought?
Well, I really liked it. I actually thought it's like he had less budget, ironically, because I think this is the first live action from animated film that has cost less than its animation counterpart. But I
Yes.
thought he used the new medium to expand on some characters, and he added a couple of sequences that I'm like, oh, so that's what happened. Like when the screen cuts to black in the animation, it's like, oh, that's what happens. And I don't know if you know what I'm referring to, but I
Hmm.
really like what he added. I think John Powell's score, while similar, has a new mixing and a new layering to it.
Yeah.
I think the most specific example is he added more choir, which is something that he did in the How to Train Your Dragon trilogy, but more in the third film. But he added choir much more in this first film. I mean, if you know the cue, the most famous cue is test driving Toothless, right? And this one I'm conflicted because I really like the cue in the original, but here he adds a choir section that I don't know if it works as well as it used to. And going back to the Dragon's design, I think that was something they were really struggling with. But I'm happy they went with the animated design because like there was a debate of should we make them like House of the Dragon, like huge beasts, but Toothless is very faithful to his animated counterpart.
Yes, but he's also the only one that kind of looks closest to his animated counterpart. The other ones, they definitely do take more inspiration for being realistic dragons, like their eyes and just the way that their designs kind of have to fit into a live action setting. So I do agree with you there. But Toothless is ironically also the only one that kind of sticks out just because he looks the most 3D and real, which is weird because I mean, in something like the live action Lilo and Stitch, he fits well and
Yeah.
everyone else didn't, ironically. But then in this one, the other dragons fit well and Toothless kind of doesn't. He sticks out a bit more, if that makes sense.
But I think Toothless does work because the personality is there.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think he works really well, and I think the fact that he's a little bit different makes it unique, and that's the whole point of his character being a Nightwing. And I think the other dragons are different because what's Astrid's dragon kind of looks the same as the animated one. Like I thought all the dragons were more or less very faithful to their design. Like they didn't make them super huge, for the exception of the last dragon, the
Yeah,
boss dragon, if you know
the
what I
queen
mean.
dragon, yeah. I just was talking about
Yeah,
like their facial features, like their eyes, like the little dragons look more like geckos now, where before they kind of just looked like little
little
cartoonish,
dragons.
yeah, dragons. But no, I.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I agree with that.
Mhm. If DreamWorks is going to keep, like, I guess they already are going to do the sequel as a remake, I would like to see a little bit more changes. But for what it's worth, I actually did think this probably was one of the best live action remakes because, I mean, it didn't take risks, but it also didn't change anything to get people annoyed or angry. Like, I mean, even Astrid, when you go back to like her origins, who played her in the original, you can still get why they cast Nicola Parker, who has come a long way since because she was in the Dumbo remake as well, and not very good in that. So, I mean, you
Well,
get
she was in The Last of Us too.
yeah, she was. She wasn't good in that either. I was kind of getting worried about her for a second, but this movie wasn't so bad that it gave me hope for
Well,
her.
Astrid's performance is different. Her performance is very different to the animated counterpart. But I did like that she's like a nobody in the sense that she wants to prove herself not just because she's a badass or because her parents are fighting this war against the dragons. She particularly wants to be the chief. And she is angry at Hiccup not because he's useless, but because he's a Nepo baby, essentially.
Yeah,
So I like that change. And Sorlat's character development with his dad, although it was implied in the animated, was also a really good change. Like I genuinely like that. The change that I liked was when we see the fight that they have against the dragons. Uh, Gerard Butler's character when they go into the mist. The animated doesn't have that sequence, so I really like that one. The
yeah,
one that I missed, and I think it's a huge mistake that they didn't add it, is when Hiccup learns that if a dragon fires on the other dragon's mouth, they burned. And it's a very small sequence in the animated, but it completely sets up the ending. And they took that one out. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
No, I do. I do. Yeah, that was, I mean, it's basically him just taking a wild guess. Is this going to work? Okay. But I would argue that they did attack the outside, and maybe he thought in the moment, oh, let's try shooting the inside once. Maybe that'll work. But I don't
Hmm.
know. Maybe when it comes to streaming, they'll release it as a DVD extra or like Blu ray on the special features. I don't know. I
Apple
agree with you,
TV
though. It was a
Extra.
little odd they cut it. Oh, pardon?
Apple TV Extra. Like extra features on the digital purchase.
Yeah. But
What is a Blu-ray, man?
yeah, true. Well, it's funny, that you mentioned that Astrid was mad that Hiccup was a Nepo baby because, ironically, she is a Nepo baby herself, or at least the actress who plays her.
The actress. But let's not get into that. I mean, I think the performance is great. I
Yeah.
think the biggest challenge that this live action will have is allowing the characters to grow.
Hmm.
Because by the end of the trilogy, he's supposed to be 30, and these kids are not even 20. And the second film is already greenlit.
Yeah, and
So
they're
I
going
don't know how they're going to have them have kids by the end of the trilogy.
maybe DreamWorks can spread it out a bit, or maybe do some other live action remakes. I mean, for what it's worth, I wouldn't mind seeing like Prince of Egypt or Spirit, Road to El Dorado, Sinbad, like their 2D hits get redone. And selfishly, honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing Shrek done in live action because I know that was what they were originally trying to get away with, making it as real as possible. So I don't know. This was a good
Yeah,
effort, though, from them.
I also don't know if this is a one and done because I sort of feel Dean DeBlow wanted to make this movie happen, but
Oh
that's
yeah,
just my feeling.
from what I
Hopefully, it
read,
inspires him to continue with a fourth one in the animated.
maybe. I mean, I was pretty happy with how that one wrapped up. I don't think there should be a fourth one in the animated. It'll probably Kung Fu Panda itself, but I don't know. We'll
It
see.
has to be a story about Toothless and Hiccup coming back together. Maybe because there's a new bad guy and the kids get kidnapped and they have to work together or something like that.
So what you're saying is they need to do what they're gonna do in Toy Story 5 to get Woody and Buzz back together.
I don't know the plot of Toy Story 5, but I guess if that's happening, yes.
That's pretty much the plot, is that she gets a tablet, the little girl Bonnie, and they realize, oh, we
Oh
need Woody
no.
to help us, and he's going to come back and solve our problems. So Toy Story 5, folks, that's what's
AI
coming.
strikes back.
Yeah. Very topical movie we're dealing
Yeah.
with. But no, I do
Yes.
recommend the new How to Train Your Dragon. If you like the original, you'll like this one, even if it is just a Control V movie.
I mean, see it this way. I think they animated it was the previous version, the previous, and this is like the real version. If you know what I mean, it's a high render previous that
Yeah.
happened to make its way to theaters. But I think both stand on their own, and I think that's a good merit. I would recommend it, and probably it's the best film we had in June.
Yeah, I mean, I did see Elio. Yeah,
I have not seen that.
I'd
Seeing
say it
it
is
tomorrow.
better than Elio. I'm curious to hear your thoughts about it, especially because, I mean, just kind of going back on my review when I saw the advanced screening a couple weeks ago, I looked more into the production and realizing just kind of what happened, and especially with rewatching that original teaser from 2023 again, there were a lot of changes, and it definitely was one of those productions that made a lot of
Felt it?
creative. Oh yeah, very much so. So
Well, I'll let you know next week.
yeah, we'll talk about it more next week. But let's talk about the other movie that came out this
Oh
June
boy.
that is causing a bit of debate online, surprisingly. I didn't think that it would, but here we are. This week's release of 28 Years Later. Yeah, do you want to take it away first? Have you seen the original movies to begin with?
I have, but 28 years ago. So I have, but I did watch a recap because I've been so busy with the film festival. I hadn't had the chance to watch them. I think they're good zombie movies, or sorry, infected movies. Although I guess in this film they use the term zombie, so I'm gonna call them zombie movies. I think they were, before the zombie boom of the 2000s, like, before The Walking Dead, essentially.
Yeah.
But they were not spectacular. They were spectacular on what they were trying to say and the idea of an isolated place. But since then, a lot of those ideas have been played out a lot. Like, in the original, how he wakes up is pretty similar to how Rick Grimes wakes up in a
Mhm.
hospital. Even Resident Evil play with that idea in the Mila Djokovic Resident Evil films. So, like, I respect the originals. I think Danny Boyle allowed himself to find a career after that. Alex Garland too. But yeah, I have seen the originals. Did that answer the question?
It does, yeah. And again, it's been a while since I've seen both of them too. The first one, I will say, did set the excitement and also lay the groundwork for that early 2000s renaissance of zombie movies, like you said.
Of
Um,
course.
and I mean, like, it was parodied in Shaun of the Dead, and Snyder did a take with his remake of Dawn of the Dead. Romero came back and did a series of Dead movies like Land of the Dead and Diary of the Dead and all that. And obviously, The Walking Dead was a big part of, I mean, still is. Like, AMC isn't going to let that series go. And just with all the games, and Resident Evil is still going
Last of
strong,
Us.
Dying Light, yeah, Last of Us. So, no, it is interesting to me that finally we got a movie that's set literally 28 years later from the initial
We
infection.
forgot months.
Oh, months. Yeah, well, it's a little late for months. I think they should have caught that when it was like the mid 2010s or something. Bringing back
Yes.
the original director, the original writer, and even I'm trying to think. I'm sorry, I got the Wikipedia right here, and the original cinematographer. And they're like, we're gonna go back. We're gonna ignore 28 weeks later, which I know a lot of people are mixed about. I don't mind it. I think they just tried to go on without the original creators, and it didn't work out as well as they thought. And now they kind of want to
Well,
course
I think
it.
I think they wanted to make a franchise, if
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like more Resident Evil esque for with 20 weeks later. Or yeah, was it? Yeah, weeks later. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
No, it was.
So, what are your thoughts on this one?
I mean, I kind of want to hear your thoughts because really the dividing point is the ending. Because up until then, I thought it was a really great movie, even the prologue.
Okay, so I did not get the movie. Like I just couldn't like I understood what was happening, but I thought the action was sloppy. The cinematography, it's all the hype that this was shot in an iPhone, but it was sloppy. I thought once you get used to the iPhone look, you're like, okay, I can get used to it. But I thought sometimes the sensor of the iPhone was really struggling to capture that low light, particularly. And I thought the script was a mess. Like it was three scripts that they just mashed together. Um, like the prologue starts like this, and it gets paid off in the last 5 minutes of the film. And then the first 45 minutes, it's this Last of Us like type of movie. Then that gets dropped, and then it's like a walk in the park, and then they meet Voldemort, and he's crazy, and then the movie ends. And then it's like, so what did I just watch? And then the editing is also very bizarre, and it sets up a lot of things that maybe Nia da Costa will explain, or maybe not,
He
because apparently
won't.
this is supposed to be three movies, right? So I'm kind of tired of like that idea that it's all set up, like those shots with the red filter. Like, what did that mean? What's the mask from the first movie? Like, uh you know I just, maybe I didn't get it. I did not hated it, but I thought it was not a good movie, if that makes sense.
No, no, I
And I
get
don't I would recommend people to see it on streaming. As much as I love the theaters, I think this movie is too expensive for what it gives.
It's definitely an art house movie, which I don't think carries well with what people thought. I mean, even the trailer, like, it wasn't really revealing anything because, yeah,
Very
no,
misleading.
yeah, very misleading. The movie didn't really live up to that teaser or even like the last trailer. I will say though, like it is very well acted, like especially with the kid who plays Spike. I thought he
Alfie.
was
Yeah.
fantastic. Yeah, Alfie Woodart. That kid's got a future. I'd like to see more of him because I mean he's dealing with all this grief and just he's the protagonist in my eyes. I hope they carry forward and even if they continue with this series that he does meet Killian Murphy in like the trilogy. I will say the ending did not give me excited to see the next movie from Nia DaCosta because I think it's going to go in a completely different direction that honestly nearly scares me because it's going to not taint the franchise but just again shows her like maybe she's just not cut out for franchise filmmaking because it's
Well,
really
it could be
giving.
the last Jedi of the franchise.
Oh yeah, no, that's what I'm saying is that ever since like Last Jedi came out, like I've been kind of a little hesitant when it comes to like trilogy of movies and being handled by different directors. Like if Jurassic World Rebirth, which comes out in a few weeks, gets a sequel and that ends up going to a different director, I'm gonna put my blinders up again. Ralph Fiennes, I thought was
Are Garland and Boyle producing
yeah,
the
they're
Nia
producing.
Costa film?
Yep, they are. They
O-
are.
Okay, but who wrote it? It was not written by Garland, right?
The next one?
Yeah,
No, he wrote the next one.
because it's already shot, right? Like it's already like they're editing that movie as we speak, right?
Yeah, it's coming out in January. So it's
January,
and Killian
which is
Murphy's
not a
back.
good thing.
No, but I don't know. I don't want to say it's gonna be. I'm not looking forward to it, but I mean, I think kind of like The Last of Us. We have to suffer through that to get to the next one. And I know I'm being so vague about it because I don't want to spoil it for people. But this really movie feels like set up for that one to come, so that it can conclude the way it did. I also kind of didn't care that it really ignored the events of 28 weeks later because I mean they just flat out ignored it and said no. 28 days later that happened. Maybe 28 weeks later happened. We don't know, but yeah, it's just you don't have to watch that movie before going into this one.
Well, I didn't care about that either. I just thought, like, for example, the Aaron Taylor Johnson character, he has like a lot of development, and then he just gets dropped.
Yeah,
I'm sure, like Ralph Fiennes' character will be a promising thing in the sequel, hence the title. But I'm also like, where is this story going? Like, I get it's Alfie's story because, or Spike's story because he's coming back, but the way that it ends with the Ninja Turtles it makes no
oh, you had
sense.
to spoil it. Oh god, that was
Well, no,
ridiculous.
I didn't spoil it. I didn't spoil. Well, it's with the Teletubbies. More
Teletubbies,
realistically, it ends.
yeah,
It ends with the Teletubbies. But there were so many themes: religion, like about Britain being abandoned, how these infected have evolved because supposedly in the originals they were about to starve to death, but they have not. Although I guess I don't know what they eat because there's a massive population of deers that are magically alive. Like there's a lot of questions that need to be answered, and this movie just is a mystery box.
yeah.
And I don't know if that's good because I don't know if Nia DaCosta's film will answer those questions because this is
No,
supposed to be a trilogy, but it's based on how much money these two movies make, and that is the problem with the story with the script.
I mean, it'll make money. I mean, it's not going to be number one this weekend. It'll probably be How to Train Your Dragon at the time of this recording. But I mean, it is tricky for me to say because I did it. I enjoyed what it was trying to say. I just didn't like that it felt set up for something I know I'm not going to enjoy with the sequel. And it's too bad because I think Alex Garland, he just did Warfare earlier this year, and that was a great movie. And I mean, it's to come back to
He's
this.
50-50.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. It's
So
just I'm torn. I'm
before
personally.
we, I want to talk about the ending But before we talk spoilers, would you recommend it?
I think, like you, yes, I would recommend it on streaming. And then until the last 5 minutes, 10, whatever, that is when I'd say, okay, that's a good movie. But really, that ending is not giving me confidence, if that makes sense.
Okay, how about we log out and as a bonus we talk 5 minute spoilers? Would that work with you?
Sure, that works for me.
So do you want to sign us off before we talk spoilers so people get a chance to sign out and then we can talk spoilers?
Sounds good. You can follow him at Jaro2096. You can follow me at VZach Houston, or follow our social at below the line underscore 2025. And yeah, take it easy. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your evening.
We'll see you next week, and for the ones you stay. So, where do you want to start with the spoiler mini brief discussion?
I mean, just he abandons his dad afterwards, and then he goes and runs off, meets the kid all grown up from the beginning of the movie, which I kind of wish they left that alone. And they're all just, yeah, named Jimmy, and they're all calling him Sir Jimmy. And yeah, the cult following. Like, I knew that was going to piss a lot of people off, man. I don't know what to say. That's just dumb. Just so dumb. Like, definitely, I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to be make America great again, survivors, or I don't know what they're trying to say personally, like
Do
outside
you
of that.
think it's about that?
Oh, yeah, 100%. It's just a legion of followers for this guy, like the infected. I don't know. It's just wacky filmmaking all of a sudden. Like, the way they
But I
move.
mean, the thing is, that character is so underdeveloped because he has had zero development. We see him run as a kid. His father is a priest. He gives him this cross, and then I thought that was Aaron Taylor John's character, actually.
You thought that,
Like,
really?
yeah, I was waiting for the cross reveal because, like, what was the whole point of that setup? I mean, it's literally a setup for a next movie,
That's what I'm
maybe.
saying. No, that legit. I mean, it's already confirmed he's in it. They're going to carry over those characters. So, what was the point? Like, it's just.
But to me, the issue, I think, when I started having trouble is okay, they live in this island, right? That the tide happens. They say the infected are smart. And, like, the alphas, this new character, which is not really a new thing because Zack Snyder had that in his Vegas zombie movie. The alphas just stare people in a staring duel. Like, they just stare people, right? With their huge dicks because somehow they're naked, and the alphas happen to have the biggest dick in the whole infected colony, right?
uh,
Why haven't they figured out that these humans are crossing every time the tide gets there? Because they're somewhat smart. I mean, the alpha was tracking the baby. Like, does the baby have a GPS? How does the infected world works? Because when the infected woman was about to give birth, she became human for a second and then she snapped, right? So I thought that there were a lot of confusing questions about how the world worked. And then the ending kind of came out of nowhere. And Aaron Taylor's character, he was presented as a very flawed dad, but as a dad that loved his son. And he just never goes out. Like, I get that the community had no rescues, but if he wants to go out by himself in a scout mission, how would they know it's a rescue mission?
I mean, his character reminded me a lot of his one in Nosferatu. Just, if that makes sense. Kind of the same.
Yeah,
I
I
don't know.
just do you think Jodie Comer's character is dead?
Oh, yeah. No, 100% she is. Like, Ralph Fiennes
I
gave
don't
her.
think so.
You don't think so? Do you think she'll come back as a zombie or whatever?
Well, I think Ralph Fiennes is experimenting. He wants to find a cure.
Huh.
We never see the body. We never see the body.
Maybe. Maybe they're saving.
Her skull had like a weird V shape.
Yeah, I don't know. If we saw the skull, I don't know. Maybe we'll have to see in the next one. Like, that's just.
And I mean, Killian Murphy will be back because he produced this thing.
Yeah. Well,
But we'll see. I mean, it is what it is.
yeah, I'm really not
Devising
looking
movie.
I'm not looking forward to the next one, if that makes any sense. I really think should have just ended with him leaving, but I mean, they franchised it now, so we'll see.
Well, the thing is, he left, but what was his purpose in leaving?
Because he didn't want to be
Eh,
around his dad, I guess. Like that's my guess.
but also his character development is so bad because he goes out, he cannot shoot, and the next day he becomes Rambo,
Yeah.
essentially. So I thought even how he was written, it was like okay, from being the worst, like shooter in the whole world. I mean, and then he's the best, and not only he becomes Rambo, he has unlimited ammo.
Yeah.
Like he must be really good at looting and getting those arrows, But like I don't know, I thought there were a lot of plot holes, but it is what it is. Let's see
It
how
is.
the one. What I'll say is I am not hoping for the best because this thing is coming out in January, and January is historically known for having the worst films.
Hmm. Yeah, I think we
So
talked
let's
more about.
see.
Yeah, we'll see. I think we talked more about the next one than this one, but that's just kind of how I felt. It was just more set up than it needed to be.
But who knows? Maybe we're not as smart as we think because critics somehow love this film. That's how I felt. Like that's how I felt. I was like, did I saw the wrong film? Like, why have I not been getting it? But maybe we're not as smart.
Maybe we're not. No.
Although audiences seem to be pretty divided, so who knows? Maybe the truth is somewhere in between. But any last thoughts?
uh, no, just next week. What is coming out next week for movies before the big July season comes out? Trying to.
What is it?
Oh yeah, did you end up seeing the Materialist movie?
Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, Dakota
Oh,
Jones needs to stop.
next week is F1. F1.
Yes, ooh, F1. That'll be fun to see in IMAX. I can't wait for that one.
The Apple TV movie.
Oh, it needs to be seen on the screen, I think. Like to me,
I
that
know, I know. But it's an Apple TV movie.
it is, but it's probably the one Apple TV movie that'll do well.
Is Meg? Oh, Megan is also coming out next week.
Yeah, Megan 2.0. So it'll be
2.0.
Megan F1, F.1 maybe. We'll call the next
F. point- Yeah, F 2.1.
one.
F2. F2.
F2.
FM2. FM2.
Okay.
Anyways, man, good episode. Thanks for chatting, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week. Take it easy, guys. Bye bye.
Bye bye.